Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for having back on with Mindset with Millionaire Mitchie. It's truly an honor. Merry Christmas to everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so grateful, and I first want to thank God because He allowed me to show up today. Because of Him, I'm here today, and I know that all of you guys are here because of Him as well. And I'm so grateful to be here. And I want to go ahead and talk about today's topic, which is communicating with yourself, right? I was reading this and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and share this because as I was reading this, as I was applying this with myself, I felt like everybody go through this, right? And hello, good afternoon, right? So I feel like we all need to find ourselves, right? And we may feel lonely, right? We may feel lonely, right? We try to feel that by communicating or connecting with others. We believe that if we are able to connect that feeling of loneliness, it will disappear, right? Hello. Right. So we spend our whole day connected to our phones to reduce the feeling of loneliness, right? We all spend the day, we spend the time to feel, right, that we don't want to be alone, right? And that's when we're supposed to be with ourselves. But I'm going to go ahead and guide you guys little by little on how you could go ahead and communicate and how can you communicate with yourself, right? We all are hungry for love. We all want and we seek love. It is normal for us to seek that. And just to let you guys know that God itself loves us, all of us, the way that we are. And we need to understand that we have to also love others. So we don't know how to generate love in order to feed ourselves with it. So in order for us to love someone, we have to love ourselves, right? We have to love our Lord. We have to love because love is what's going to bring things together, right? Have you ever noticed that love doesn't bring things apart, it brings things together because love is positive, right? So we feel empty and we use technology to try to dispense the feeling of loneliness. And in the end, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Why? Because we are trying to run away from things that we don't want to feel. Sometimes we don't know how to feel love. We don't know how to feel appreciated. We don't know how to handle that. And it's okay because we're not perfect. And it's okay. This is the beauty of growing and evolving, right? You're gonna learn little by little. When we was born, when we was child, right? We didn't know how to walk. We didn't know how to talk. We didn't know how to eat, right? So how can you put so much pressure on yourself for things that you didn't know, right? We believe that our phone help us to communicate. And if you didn't know that the content of speech is not a authentic talking or texting on a device doesn't mean that you're communicating with others. So speech and communication doesn't really mean that you have to text and talk on a phone with someone, right? Our mind is a fundamental instrument for our communication, right? If we do not communicate, if our mind is not if our mind is not clear enough, we won't be able to communicate. So we don't really need phones to communicate. We need our mind, right? If your mind is blocked, no device will make up for that inability to communicate with yourself and others, right? It won't, because you're not in the state of communicating. You're not in the state to be able to express yourself if your mind is blocked. So you need to understand that the most important thing is your mind, right? We need to spend more time communicating with ourselves. If we don't know what's going on within us, how we then think that we could communicate with other people? How can we think that? If we don't know what's going on within us, how we expect to communicate with others, right? So no device, no people will be able to do that if we cannot do it ourselves, right? We think that all our technology devices, all technology, right? We feel that we could connect, but that is an illusion, right? In a daily life, we are disconnected from ourselves. But we walk, right? And we don't know that we're walking. We hear and we don't know that we hear, right? We are alive when we don't know that we're alive, because throughout the day we lose ourselves. We tend to lose ourselves because you don't have the moment and the chance to tell yourself, okay, let me be here. Let me take this time for me. It could be a five minutes, 5 seconds, right? We need to stop and communicate with ourselves. That's a revolutionary act. That's a self-reflection, right? That you tend to notice and you be like, damn, I'm taking time to communicate. I'm taking time to be with myself. That's a self-reflection. You're you're finding ways to build yourself. And we're not perfect. I'm not perfect, right? I'm still finding ways to communicate with myself because I'm so impulsive. And I think something, I want to do it right away, and I'm supposed to think things through with myself. Be like, okay, if you do this, how are you going to feel afterwards? Right? We tend to do things and we don't think about the aftermath. We just go for it. And it's not a bad thing, but it's good to think for once and communicate with ourselves. So whatever you're doing, right? Sit down and connect with yourself. That is called mindful awareness. The way that you're going to communicate with yourself is having mindful awareness, right? Mindful awareness is mindfulness is full awareness of the present moment, right? That is how you get to live in the moment, when you become aware, right? You sit down and you breathe in and out. In a few seconds, you could connect with yourself just by doing that. Simple. It's really that simple. When you sit down and you're breathing in and out, that is a way to be present. That is a way to listen to what you're feeling at the moment. That is a way to allow yourself to not get distracted by what's going on with just that few seconds, by breathing. I want you guys, it sounds so simple, but the simplest thing is the most important thing, right? We need to take the time to know what's going on with your body, with our feelings, with our emotions and our perception, right? We have to be able to focus on what really going on with ourselves. We cannot expect the world to understand, that we can expect the world to love us if we cannot take that moment to love ourselves, just to take a moment to breathe, right? Breathe. You notice that when people have an anxiety attack and they notice that they just need to breathe, they come back. They be like, okay. And then it goes away. It's really that simple, right? Because it's all about what you're telling yourself. If you tell yourself, breathe in and out, you're going to get out of that state of mind that is frustrating you, right? It's good to focus on the delay of gratification, not instant gratification, like eating healthy and investing. Definitely, I agree, right? So we have to find that moment. Take that time to really tell yourself, okay, I could do this, right? When you feel like you can't communicate well with others, you write a letter with full understanding and compassion. Because remember, we want this world to be better, right? We want to be able to grow, to nourish to what God has made us to be, right? So during the time when you write, you're nourishing yourself. When you feel like you can't communicate with other people, you just write. You can write a letter, write an email, write a text, right? Practice mindful communication and writing. It's good for our health because our message is full of understanding and compassion, and you will be able to remove any anger, disappointment for yourself and for others. Remember, you're doing this to help others as well, right? You're not going to do something to make people more angry, more disappointed. No, this is all about understanding and compassion. We need to find a way to also come together, because you can expect people to love you and respect you, and you can't respect and love others, right? You got to remember that what you give, you will get in return. And sometimes what you give, you will not get, but that's okay because you're moving with love, right? You want to generate love, and you want to generate it within yourself first, right? So you don't have to rush to send your message, right? Sometimes we write a message, we write this letter, and we want to send it right away. And you notice that sometimes when you send it, you can't take it back with the things that you said. So you got to take the time, really think deep of what I'm saying right now. Take the time to, when you write that letter, when you write that message, you say how you feel, but you're letting things go on an understanding and compassion way, right? Before you go ahead and rush that, you have time to breathe in and out before picking up your phone or sending any message, right? You got to breathe. It goes back to breathing. You breathe and you let it go. You let everything go when you breathe out, right? This will give a greater chance to that we are putting more compassion, communication out to the world. We're helping other people get better as well, right? And this all starts with ourselves. It all starts with wanting to fill our cup, with wanting to be better, with wanting to just understand ourselves, just to take a moment to breathe, right? All these little things is what's gonna help things get better. It's gonna help the world get better, right? It's gonna help people that probably have traumas or have difficulties to love, and you're here showing up, doing things differently, and helping people get better. You know that people learn by the way you do things, by how you go about things, and how you are as a person, right? All of these things is what help other people, because remember, we go through situation in our life, and everything happens for a reason. We might not understand it, but it all building up ourself to be better. And you have to think about it in a good, positive way, right? So I want you guys to begin to practice mindful awareness, and start going home to yourself. Home is a place that where loneliness disappears. When you home, you feel warm, you feel safe, you feel comfortable, you feel fulfilled, right? You probably have gone away from your home for a very long time, and your home has been neglected. So that's why you probably don't want to go back. But the path to go home is not long. Remember, home is within us. It's inside of us. So do not keep running away from going outside of your home. Keep going back home. Remember, home feels comfortable. Home feels safe. It's fulfilled, right? It's full of love. Home is inside of us. I don't want you to think that home is someone. Home is actually our physical home. Home is us, what we are, what we feel, right? Going home requires us only sitting down and being with yourself, accepting the situation as it is. It could be a mess in there. It could be a totally mess in that home. But if you accept it, you know that you have left home a long time, and now it's time to pick up everything little by little, right? Now that you're home, use your mindful breathing, because it goes back to breathing, right? You're coming home and you're coming back to breathing, right? Breathing in and out, and that will begin the tidying up your home, right? That will begin cleaning up everything by just breathing and coming to yourself and realizing everything, right? It all begins with our breathing. That is so simple. Breathing. If you know how to breathe, you can learn how to walk. You know how to sit, you know how to eat your meals, you know how to walk, how to work, right? And mindfulness, so that you could begin to know yourself. This is the simplest thing, right? We know the simplest thing. We know how to talk, we know how to write, we know how to cook, all these little simple things, right? This is how to work in mindfulness so that you could begin to know yourself. Begin to know yourself. And it all starts with you. And home is within you. So when you breathe out, you release any intention. You release it all. Why? Because when you're breathing out, that's the whole point. Any stress, any anxiety, anything you're feeling, when you breathe out, it's supposed to go out when you're breathing out. When you're breathing in, is to gather yourself up and be like, I got this. And when you breathe out, is to release any tension. I want you guys to find it within yourself to know that it's so simple to come home to yourself. Once you can communicate with yourself, you will be able to communicate outwardly with more clarity, with more compassion, right? Because you know what's going on within yourself. And that is the way in is the way out. The way you breathe in is the way that you breathe out. And everything you let go is everything that you're releasing out of your body, your mind, and your soul. So I want you guys to just focus on our breathing. When we focus on our breath, we release the future, the regrets, the sorrow about the past. Because remember, you don't breathe in and you're thinking about everything. You're thinking about everything, right? But once you breathe out, you kind of calm down, right? You're more calmed. The point of this call, of this topic, of everything, is to be one within yourself, to be more calm, to be more at peace, and ask yourself, is this feeling making me feel better? Am I doing this making me feel better? Go ask yourself these things, because you have to make yourself feel at home within yourself, right? So focusing on the breath, you notice what you're feeling in the present moment, like I just asked, right? These questions that you ask yourself, right? Do this throughout the day, and you could be there for yourself. I bet that when you focus on your breathing, you're more attentive of how you feel, and you're more attentive of being in the present moment, because breathing requires presence, right? When you're breathing right now, you're in the present. You're not in the past and the future. You're in the present. Breathing is in the moment. So when you breathe, think about being in the moment, right? I want you guys to connect that together, right? It takes a few seconds to breathe in and set yourself free. The most important thing here is to set yourself free. Be free. Breathe free. Why? Because we all deserve it. It is in our power to be free. Who said that we cannot be free? Yourself, right? You've been home, you've been away from home so long that you're having all these thoughts in your mind, and you're telling yourself that you cannot be free. Free starts with you coming home and you being one with yourself. You taking a second to breathe, right? Take a second to breathe in and set yourself free. Real freedom only comes when you're able to release our suffering and come home. Real freedom starts there. Real freedom comes when you release our suffering, your pain, your sorrow, your regrets, and you come home, right? Freedom is the most precious thing there is, and it's the foundation of happiness, and it's available for you and each conscious breath. Why? Because it starts with ourself. It starts with our breathing. You have to learn how to communicate with yourself, because without you, there's nothing else. You have to think about you and anybody and nobody else when you're breathing. When you're breathing, to be trying to stay alive and trying to do things in the moment, you're focusing on being in the moment. You're focusing on being Michelle and being Andy, Danielle, Ivan, right? You're being that, right? So freedom is free. It's setting yourself free by the conscious of breath, right? Happiness is possible when you're in communication with yourself, right? To do this, you need to leave your phone behind, because when you attend a meeting or an event, you turn off your phone. Why? Because you want to observe. You want to communicate others' communication. So it is the same way when communicating with yourself. So you have to turn off your phone. You have to distract yourself and you have to not distract yourself and focus on being present, and focus on just being with yourself, communicating with yourself, right? That is key to live a happy life. That is key to have freedom. Freedom is not becoming wealthy, and that's part of it. Freedom starts with you, because you don't want to have millions and feel empty. I hope that what I'm communicating with you, what I'm pouring into you guys is helping you guys understand that when you get to the level that you want to be in life and where God has for you, you know that you feel so much better where you're going. You feel so much better where you are, because you're finding a way to communicate with yourself. You're finding a way to set yourself free, right? And it all starts with you. It all starts with you just taking a few seconds and breathe in and out and be present and understand what is that you're feeling and understand what is it that you want, right? Communicating with yourself, you need to practice non-talking and non-thinking, right? Because when you're meditating, you can't think. You have to flow with your breathing. You have to focus on your breathing, right? A lot of our thinking is caught up on dwelling on the past, trying to control the future, and generating misconception and worrying about what others thinking. That is usually what we think about. That is me in a nutshell, what I just said. And I'm not afraid of saying it because I know I'm human, and I know that it's normal for me to be like that because I'm not perfect. So if we focus on not thinking and not talking when we're breathing and we're focusing on ourselves, then we start to really understand ourselves. Why? Because we're not so much caught up in our thoughts. We are not so much caught up on what's going on or what happened in the past or what we're trying to do tomorrow, today, later on. We are focusing on right now on how can I feel better. If you're not feeling better, you're not feeling good right now, just take a few seconds and breathe in and breathe out and release it. And it feels so good doing it as I practice me saying it, because you're coming to yourself. You're coming and you're staying home with you, right? And misconception happens in the moment so fast. You have a perception and you're caught by it, right? Anything we say or do is based on that perception, and it could be so dangerous. That's why you got to cut off thinking and talking, because if you continue to talk, you continue to be caught up in the words, in your words, in what you're thinking, right? You're caught up in everything that you know you don't want to think. So that's why it's when you're doing this, you have to non-talk and non-thinking, because that is a way to communicate with yourself. You're not thinking about anything. You're just focusing on breathing and being there within yourself, right? Figuring it out. Mindful breathing is a practice of non-thinking and non-talking. Is really that. Without thinking or talking, there is no obstacle to get in the way for you to enjoy your the present moment. Think about it. If you start mindful breathing, you start being more present. You're not thinking about anything and you're not talking about anything, because as you practicing it, you are in the moment. You're enjoying it. So when you're doing anything else, practice non-thinking and non-talking, so that you could enjoy being here, enjoy being around people that you love. Because we are so caught up thinking that we forget and we miss a message that a loved one is saying to us, and it could be the last message. I don't want you guys to dwell on the past, on the things that you couldn't do. I want you guys to start doing the things that you should start doing, right? When we stop talking and thinking and listen to our mindful, to yourself, right? One thing you will notice is great capacity and opportunity for joy. When you start noticing about yourself, when you start being mindful about yourself. This is ways to communicate with yourself. Go home. Your home is you, is within you, right? You begin to listen to yourself more. You begin to become aware of what you're feeling. Why? Because when you're having this mindful breathing, you're not so caught up in all thoughts. You're caught up on the moment, right? So you're flowing. Allow yourself to flow. Allow yourself to be free, right? Allow yourself to just listen to yourself, right? Mindfulness let you listen to your pain, your sorrow, and fear inside. When you see some suffering or pain coming up, You don't have to try to run away from it, right? Instead, you go back and take care of it. You go back and embrace it. You would then not be afraid of being overwhelmed because you know how to breathe and you know how to walk to generate enough energy of mindfulness to recognize and take care of the suffering, right? So when you do that and you take the moment to be mindful and you take mindful breathing, mindful awareness, you're no longer feel afraid of being overwhelmed. You're no longer running away from your pain, right? So if you have enough mindfulness generated by the practice of mindful breathing and walking, you're no longer afraid to be with yourself. And what I mean by walking is taking a walk, being in the nature, right? Being present. As you're walking, take a step. As you're taking a step, you're breathing, right? You're being aware. And it sounds so crazy, but it's so simple. I want you guys to understand how simple it is to be free, how simple it is to be with yourself, how simple it is to communicate with yourself, because you're no longer dwelling and thinking and frustrating yourself with the future, with the past. You're focusing in the present moment by breathing, by being present, right? So if you are free of needing your phone, it's because you're carrying mindful with you. If you feel free of not needing your phone, it's because you're carrying mindfulness with you. It's like having a guardian angel in your corner, on your shoulder. Yeah, the angel's there, is always there with you, right? When you practice, it's always there to help you. It's always there to help you be afraid of whatever you're suffering or feeling, right? When you have an angel. So when you don't feel the need of having your phone or having to communicate with others to not feel lonely, and you become mindfulness of yourself and you become aware of everything that comes within yourself, now you start to feel more of you. You start to connect to yourself, right? Don't try to get away from suffering. That's one thing I'm not saying. Don't get away from suffering. You don't need to cover it up from having that pleasant feeling. Instead be there for you. Understand so that you can transform and you can elevate, you could grow, right? Understand that you need to embrace it. Go back home and listen to yourself. Go back home and practice mindful breathing. Just take a moment to just breathe in and breathe out, right? And keep going back home. If you're not good at communicating with another, keep going back home. Keep communicating with yourself. Communicate lovingly with yourself. That is practice. When you practice that, eventually you will start to learn how to communicate, how to love with others. You eventually will learn how to be better, right? But you have to come back home. You have to come back home and take a moment and just be there with yourself. Embrace it, accept everything that is that you're feeling, right? You have to go back to yourself and listen to the happiness that you may have in the moment. Listen to the suffering in your body and in your mind and learn how to embrace it and bring relief. Set yourself free. Communicate with yourself, guys. Communicate with yourself. Communicate and love yourself. You have to be kind. You have to be kind, because remember, we rush to be so kind with others that we forget to be kind with ourselves. I want you guys to learn how to love yourself in the meantime, right? So there's a few ways of how to practice mindfulness, right? And for those that might not know, that's why I wrote it down so that you guys, and I could share it in the chat so that you guys could practice that. So you guys could understand that we was not born learning everything. And when we probably know about this, but we wasn't aware that it's mindfulness, right? Mindfulness, right? To practice mindfulness is noticing your breath, right? Notice the rise and fall of your chest and breathe. Breathe in and hold for 3 counts and exhale. Count for 7 breath, right? Do this in the morning when you wake up. Start your day with good intentions, right? Sense your then another mindful way of connecting with yourself is sense your senses. right? Choose one of your senses to focus on and notice what you're experiencing with only with that sense. It could be hearing, seeing, touching, smelling. Focus on that, just one sense, right? Mindful drink and eat, right? When you become mindful what you drink and eat, it boosts up your body. You could drink tea, green juice, turn off all distraction, anything that is not allowing you to be calm or allowing you to be with yourself. Go be at peace, right? So another way to be mindful is doing one thing at a time. Rather than multitasking, just focus on one thing. If you're reading, do not focus on texting. If someone texted you, text them back later. Focus on reading in that second, right? If you checking an email, focus on checking an email. If you're eating, focus on eating, right? We get to get caught up with everything going on that we just lose ourselves, right? Another way to be mindful is go outside with nature. Take a mindful walk outside. Feel your feet connecting to the ground and sit outside. Notice elements of nature. When you notice that you're so grateful, you'll be like, wow, like this is really beautiful. This is really, I'm living here. I'm able to breathe in and beautiful and fresh air. Like, you know what I mean? Like just be in the moment, right? Another way to be mindful is practice gratitude. Reflect on your blessings to bring comfort. If you have a hard time thinking of what you're thankful for, notice your breath. Focus, go back to your breathing, mindful breathing, and focus on your blessings, right? Another way is journaling. Handwrite in your journal. It slows down. It's slower than typing, but it provides more time to reflect, right? Notice the feel of the pen on the paper. These little things, right? That is so simple and so small, but it's so important. When you start noticing about these little things, now you start to live within yourself, right? Move your body, make clear intentions and physical activities, right? Right? So notice your breath during exercise and how it flows with your body movement, right? Be mindful while you wait, right? Rather than picking up your phone, become aware of your surroundings. Use your to experience the world around you. While you wait, experience the world around you. Become aware of your surroundings. Instead of being on your phone, guys, take the time to talk with your parents. Take the time to talk with your family. Take the time to talk with your kids. Take that time. We are getting so caught up with being on our phone that we are forgetting to be present. And we noticing at the end of the day, these things are destroying us because we're not going home. We're not being present. We're not being aware, right? Another way to practice mindfulness is close your eyes, focus on your breath, and bring your awareness to each body part. Each body part. Focus on your body. Focus on just being on feeling and just feel every body part, right? Another way to establish mindfulness is establish routines. Start and end your day with intention and purpose, right? By establishing morning and evening routine. You start doing this, you start getting more in tune with yourself. You're starting to practice things. You could fall off from time to time, but get back on it, right? Because we tend to get like that. We are human. We are not perfect. I want you guys to understand that it's okay, right? And last but not least, a way to practice mindfulness is forgive yourself. Find your mind fixated. If you find your mind fixated on the things that you didn't do, remind yourself lovely on all the things that you did do. Don't focus on what you didn't do. Focus on what you can do and will do. And this will help you on the long run feel better about yourself each step of the way. This helps you become more present. This helps you become more enjoyable of what you're doing. Right, guys? So I hope this call was very helpful for you guys. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hopping on, for allowing me to guide you, for allowing me to help you and become better. Because at the end of the day, I want to help you guys to just learn how to love yourself and not be so caught up with what's going on around the world, or get caught up with being on our phone, or get caught up with connecting with other people that we don't want to feel, we don't want to feel alone. But remember that when you connect with yourself and when you come home with and your home is you start to be thankful, you start to notice things, you start to become aware of everything. And I want you guys to move with love and integrity. I want you guys to be at peace when you do things. Love what you're doing, right? Love what you're doing. And if it's not what you want to do, don't do it. Do something else. Find purpose in each single day, right? And I hope this call was very helpful. I appreciate every single one of you guys for always staying consistent, for listening, for allowing me to guide you. And it's really an honor. And I thank God that He allowed me to do this. And I appreciate you guys for everything. I love you guys. Have a blessed Christmas. I hope you spend it beautiful with your family. um Most importantly, guys, love your family. Be with your family. Be today. Be here in this moment, because you don't know what could happen tomorrow, right? And I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Have a blessed and beautiful day. Merry Christmas. Bye, guys.